Hey guys, it's Nadia from the Anywhere Body. Today's workout is to help get you over your tank top anxiety and get those arms in shape. It's one of the biggest requests I get for workout suggestions and movements is how to get those arms, especially those back parts that are called triceps, into shape. So we've designed a really fast, easy workout for you. 6 exercises, most of them can be done in your home. If you have anything that can be used as a resistance, water bottles, for example, are really good for that because obviously you can hold them halfway or all the way, and that changes how difficult the movement will be for you. Anything with resistance is going to be able to be used as a dumbbell. You don't necessarily need to go to a gym. So this workout could work for you, even if you're at home. Preferably, you have a gym nearby that you can go to. There is 3 movements in this workout. One is for the bicep, one is the bicep being here, one is the tricep, and one is for the shoulder. And you're going to do them consecutively, A1, A2, A3 without a break. And then after you've completed all of them, you're going to take a 90-second break and then repeat it again. You're going to do that 4 times for both sets. You have A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, and you're going to do each of them 4 times. So after that, take another maybe day to 2 days before you do anything again in terms of a workout. It's day 4, so that means you've had 4 days of training in 1 week. Your body needs to recuperate a little bit, so taking some rest after this for a minimum of a day, preferably 2 days, is a really good idea. Ready to go? Let's get those arms pumped up. All right guys, let's get right into the workout. Your first exercise is going to be an incline bench. You can determine the incline. I've got mine at about 45 degrees or so. Hammer bicep curl. So what that means when you have a hammer curl is that your arm just goes directly up and down, and that you keep everything super tight. Pulling your shoulders back, chest is up, abs are in, and the only thing that moves is your forearms. People use a lot of momentum in bicep movements and end up using all of the surrounding muscles much more than they actually use the bicep. You might actually even have to go down in the weight that you think you can do, because when you isolate it, the movement becomes much tougher. So remember to breathe evenly. You breathe in when it's easy on the way down, and then you breathe out on the way up when it becomes hard. So breathe in and out. Second move we're doing is for your triceps. This is the clincher for everyone out there that's always asking me about their jiggly back arms. This movement is very much about knowing and feeling the movement in your muscle, paying attention to what you're actually doing. What I mean by that is if you start this movement, so the dumbbells are going to be above you, you're going to pull your shoulders in and your abs in, and remember to breathe in when it's easy and breathe out when it's hard. So it's easy here and hard on the way up. But a little bit of a difference in one direction or another in terms of where the weight is located is going to determine how much of the actual tricep you use. If you come too far over top of your shoulders, you're going to use a lot of your shoulders, same as if you go too far down. If you come out with the weight a little bit away, so the dumbbells are just just in front of my chest more or less, I can right away, it activates my tricep way more than it does my shoulders. I can feel my triceps straining right now to keep the weight above me. So right about here, when I start to come down, the tricep flexes completely, and right about here is where I feel them the most engaged. I stop there for a second and I come back up again. So each rep, take your time coming down, come up as fast as you can. Take your time coming down, feel that it's your tricep, not your shoulders pushing through the movement. Push up through the elbow and keep going. So adjust yourself each time. You'll have the tendency to want to move the weight up here. Just keep going back to the right position.
Deep in their hearts, they knew. There were drums all night long, and everybody danced.
All right, guys, next movement. Remember to go as quickly as you can in between these movements and not to take too much rest. The next movement we're going to do is shoulder flies. Shoulder flies is very similar in terms of the paying attention to the muscle group and where you're positioning your arms to get the most out of the movement. People have their arms all over the place in flies, like further back here, and they kind of tend to do this kind of a motion because they're actually picturing wings and flying with them. But that tends to move more of your bicep or use more of your bicep than it does your shoulder necessarily. If you get into position, so your feet are narrow in between in your hips, you are going to stand tall, pull your shoulders back and your abs in and chest up. And then from there, when you bring your arms up, bring them forward a little bit with your hands and move, feel out the movement a little bit. Come up and see that it's actually your shoulders doing the lifting and not so much your bicep or you using momentum, where people tend to swing a lot. Go nice and slow, bring your arms forward. And right about there for me is where I feel my shoulders engaging the most intensely. And at the top, when you come to at about a 90-degree angle, you're going to do a little turn. That's where the shoulder is most engaged in doing the work. Right about here, you come up, almost like you're pouring a glass of water, and then you come back down again. So practice that a little bit. Come up, turn, down. Breathe where it's easy. Breathe in where it's easy and breathe out where it's hard. So it's easy on the way down, so you're going to breathe in there, and it's hard on the way up. So breathe in and then...
And everybody dance. There were drums all night long. And everybody dance. There were drums all night long. And everybody dance. There were drums all night long. And everybody dance. And everybody dance. And everybody dance.
All right, let's take a 90-second break now. You need to recover a little bit, drink some water, and now you're going to repeat all of that all over again.
And everybody dance.
Okay guys, so you've finished the 4 sets of your A group now. We're moving on to the B group. The first exercise in the B group is going to be something that addresses the 2 other areas of the bicep we haven't worked on yet. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that usually people only work their bicep in one direction, which is this. This is called a supine bicep curl. But the bicep actually needs to be trained in this direction, which is neutral, and in this direction, which is prone as well. And what this works is your forearms, which support your bicep in all of the movements that you do. And by doing this, you ensure that your supporting muscle is developing at the same rate as the main muscle that it's actually working, which is your bicep. So, a standing supine curl with a reverse prone curl is this. Up, turn, back down again. So your feet are about hip width apart, you're standing with the weight in your heels, you're nice and tall, chest is up, abs are in. Remember to breathe where it's difficult. So you breathe out here, and breathe in. Remember not to swing, so none of this, because you want to lift 30 pounds when you can actually only do 10. It's a nice, tight, controlled movement. The bicep your elbow acts as the lever here, and it should never really move much. You have a little bit of range, but generally you want to keep it close to the body and focus the work on the bicep and your forearm. In the B series is another tricep move, and this one doesn't require a lot of weight. I see people doing this movement sometimes in the gym, and they always have this tendency to want to take a really big dumbbell thinking that it needs to be super heavy. But again, this is an exercise where it's more about finesse and finding the right angle and the right depth to go into. So you can grab a weight, a water jug, whatever it is that you're using as your resistance, and grab it like so in your hands. Set your shoulders, so pull them together and hold them there. People sometimes hurt themselves doing this exercise because they're really sloppy in their positioning and they let their shoulders hang loosely without pulling them in and supporting them. And when you have a weight overhead, that can be bad if you have difficulty with posture and things like that. So you're going to grab the weight like this, bring your chest up, shoulders back and together. Raise this up above your head and then set those shoulders. Don't let your shoulders hang all over the place. Set them back and keep it tight. So from there, the only thing that moves again is your forearms. Your elbows are nice and still, and come down deep. There's going to be a point where you feel a stretch in your tricep, and that's where you're really going to engage it the most and get a nice, good engagement. Bring it up. So slow, slow, slow. Let it stretch. It's pretty intense, and then bring it back up again. And I don't need a lot of weight for this. You just need to take your time and really feel out the movement. So down and back up. Keep those abs engaged, keep those shoulders supported. Breathe in here, breathe out. So where it's easy, breathe in and breathe out when it gets hard. All right, let's move on to the last one. On to the last one in our B series. So here we're gonna have your chest nice and tall again. You're still seated, and you probably will want to use a lighter weight than or a lighter resistance than you've used up to this point for your biceps and triceps. So for the demonstrations, I've been using a 10-pound weight, and for the shoulder one on this, I'm going to use 5 pounds. Because what we're doing here is just a lateral shoulder raise, which means that you're sitting nice and tall, abs are in, chest is up, and you're going to pull your shoulders together. I think you can see when I pull my shoulders together, back and down, you're going to just raise your arm so that it's parallel to the floor. And that's where your shoulder is the weakest. When your arm is extended here is where the shoulder is the most exposed and doesn't have a lot of strength to hold onto a weight. So again, in order to do this properly, don't use a lot of weight and use momentum in order to fling your arms up. Take a nice easy weight and then be really precise about the movement. So it just looks like so. Remember to breathe out where it's hard. So when you go up against gravity, try to move at an even pace. One thing you might notice in the camera is that my one arm doesn't move at the same rate as the other, and that's because I had a shoulder injury 4 years ago where I fell down a flight of stairs. So my shoulder pattern is always a little bit off, no matter how much it's been corrected and fixed at this point. I did a lot of rehab with it. It always moves at a different pace. Try to keep yours as even as you can. They should be moving at the same rate. You shouldn't have one arm half up, half down. Keep it together.
for your love.